All right, hey everyone. Typically I'd be sitting here with Jason, but he's luckily off camping with family today. So Mike Beatch has been kind enough to fill in. So today I think we just wanted to go over a couple things that we try to go over with our sellers clients when we're sitting down with them. Just so expectations, given the current market conditions are set out of the gate. It's not the first video that we've said. It is a different market. There is more listings. It's tougher to get sales for some properties. So Mike and I are just going to go over a couple things that, as I said, we like to go over with our clients. So a little bit of free advice for everyone. So Mike, you want to start with the first one there?
No, thanks, Jim. First and foremost, generally talk to the clients is definitely showing condition. You've got a ton of buyers. Well, we have a ton of homes, not as many buyers. We want to make sure that your home is going to look a 12 out of 10 for everybody that walks through the door. There's just so much choice in inventory that that one off-color wall that you think is absolutely beautiful, somebody might not think that, and they just automatically cross your house off the list and go on to the next one.
Yeah, it's a really fine line with buyers right now because there is so much selection. They just know that they can wait for the perfect house, whether it may or may not ever materialize. So with ours, we're lucky enough that we have Jess in our office that we send in, and she's got a really good eye for staging and can give the pointers, move the things where they need to be moved, give the suggestions they need to be made. In certain scenarios, the recommendation is also for a stager, and we have had good success with that on a couple vacant properties recently. So definitely, showing condition, and that's your first impression to the market. So that's a huge one. Pricing, obviously, not the first time we've addressed pricing. It's a fickle market. You need to be accurate. You need to be accurate out of the gate. This isn't the type of market to be testing the market. We always come in with what we think is a good price, and then typically there's some dollars added onto that or attempted to be. And, you're really not doing yourself any favors right now by doing that. So definitely accurate pricing out of the gate is paramount right now.
Yeah, I had a situation where I had a client that needs to move to Winnipeg. We talked about the price of the home, could have went as high as $520. She said, I want to sell tomorrow. We went for $500 even at an at-ask offer within 3 days versus sitting on the market for 60 to 90 days for an extra $20,000. Yep. She's happy. She's on the way to the next part of her journey, and just saw her today moving tomorrow. She's super happy we got it done quick.
Excellent. So to speak to that, 3 days on market isn't the norm. So that's sort of one of those great situations. They do still exist. We've had a few of them, as I'm sure other realtors have as well. So they are still out there. But people do need to have a bit different expectation as far as days on market goes. There's no way around it right now. Things are taking longer. So you just need to be prepared for that. And it can be frustrating. We understand that. We do our best to help our clients understand it out of the gate, but then you do hit those slower times and those bumps in the road and things like that, and try and help get them through that. But I think sellers do need to be aware that things are taking longer. So the expectation shouldn't be for 3 days on market or 7, or in this market's case, sometimes even 30.
Yeah.
It can be a bit of a long haul, but ultimately, there's typically a hat for every head, and we try and find it. So
exactly, kind of rolling along then into it, making reductions noticeable with the time on market. If we're sitting at 30 days, 40 days, not many showings, I see a lot of people that do a $5,000 or $10,000 price reduction. And the conversation I have with my sellers is, you're at $450,000. They say they want to drop to $440. $440 would work. We already would have sold at $440, right? Somebody would have come in at $430, $425. You would have met in the middle at $440. I think you got to start looking at $15,000, $20,000 price reductions if you're wanting to sell quick. Like if you've got an end result of you need to be somewhere by X, you want to sell in X amount of time. I guess you could do $5,000 a week, but then eventually everybody sits there and waits
you out.
it waits you out for the next drop. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but
Well, definitely they need to be noticeable. Sellers are always, the fear is, does a reduction make me look desperate? Or, reductions are almost a necessary evil in our market right now. If things have become stagnant, if showings have dwindled, the way our system works is once a reduction happens, that property sort of gets bumped back up to the top of the queue for buyers who have been
Right.
watching it and it had been sent to them. So over and above just the price change and hoping that that's noticeable, it sort of slaps buyers in the face again with the product. So in that respect, I think it is hugely valuable. Again, pricing out of the gate is key.
Right.
It's a bit of a moving target right now. So if you have missed the mark, don't be reluctant in reducing that price because it can be a valuable tool to help you sell your house. Moving on, hopefully, we do receive an offer, and sometimes they're not as easy as they have been in the past. Mike's situation again is a great example when pricing works and it's a good offer and negotiations are easy. More often than not, it's tougher. Offers come in low. Buyers know they have leverage in this market right now, so they're coming in low. I think sellers need to try and depersonalize it a little bit. It is their home, and so it's tough. But right now, getting the offer is half the battle. So if you have an offer, unless it's absolutely catastrophic, and your agent will tell you if that is the case, it's well worth it to try and find some common ground, because they are, there's 1,700 sellers out there that might love to be in that position. So just don't take it for granted, and even though it might seem far apart, try and work with it if you can.
in my experience, when I'm receiving a really low offer and going to the sellers, I say right out of the get-go, my job here is to take all the emotion out of this. I got to take the step back and be that voice of reason. If I think it's a reasonable offer, or, if they've got comparables that, the house that's identical 4 doors down sold for X,
Have to be aware of it.
you have to be aware of what the selling prices are, and taking the emotional charge out of that situation is usually the hardest part. But once it happens, the negotiation, I find, just seems to continue moving forward a lot easier. And in that, the last point, keeping your eyes on the prize, right? What's your end goal? Where do you have a place you're wanting to move to? I know there's a few people out there that I've talked to that, we're going to test the market. We're going to see if it sells for X, I'll sell today. And that's pretty hard. If you're actually having, if you got to move for a job, or having another kid like I am, and you need more space, like, what is the reason you're moving? The short-term pain you might receive right now, you guys talked about it in previous videos, there's the gap. Like, you will receive that short-term pain now, but there's going to be a long-term gain on that other purchase. So
right, and there is that. Hopefully you take a little less here and you get that back on the buy. But ultimately, there's also there's financial reasons, and then there's personal reasons. Right. And at a certain point, if a move needs to be made, if your family's growing, if you're downsizing, if you're moving, if whatever it is, we can't control the market and what it's doing and your timing as far as the need to sell goes. But don't lose sight of the fact that, ultimately you're making this decision for likely a positive other reason.
Very true.
And so don't let the negative of a market like this, have you lose sight of ultimately why you're doing it. And if that does mean a small financial step back currently, it's very, very easy to see very short-sighted in real estate. It's down this much.
Right.
And try and extrapolate that over, well, where we're going, we should hopefully be happy there for the next 20 years. And then that on a per year basis becomes much less significant in most cases. And just try and see big picture sometimes, because a lot of times there's a lot more going on than just that little sale. So don't lose sight of that.
want to thank you guys for taking the time to sit here and listen to Jim and I talk about what we think sellers need to think about, and hopefully their agents are talking to them about in the buyer's market. Any questions, concerns, you can always hit us up on our webpage. I'm sure we got Twitter, Instagram, or give the office a call. We'd be happy to help.
Thanks, guys.